Volara is not a household name, and so let's start by 101. What is Volara do? What's their elevator pitch?
Yeah, so Volara provides the conversation management software for hotels that allows and enables popular consumer hardware like the Amazon Echo and Google Home to serve guests in hotels. So if you're in a hotel and you see an Amazon Echo or a Google Home and you engage with it, our software is connecting your request to the hotel and allowing for the hotel to manage that conversation with you in a scalable way.
How does it do it? I'm just curious about the technology. Like, for example, I'm in my hotel room and I say, I need room service or I need housekeeping. What happens then?
Yeah, absolutely. So your the recording of your voice goes up to Amazon's cloud or Google's cloud and is processed into code. That code is then sent to Volara, and Volara takes an action on that code. So we're going to send a reply to you saying, "Absolutely, we'd love to get you room service." We're going to send a message into the work order management system of the hotel so that the room service personnel know how to serve you and what you need.
Got it. So, how do you address the voice assistant? So, like, I know you have to say, "Okay, Siri," or "Hey Google," or Alexa. I mean, there's so many different personalities out there. So, do I have to say,
Yeah.
"Okay, Valera"?
Nope, you'd address the voice assistant just like you would at home. So with the name Alexa or Google Home or Hey Google, it's really the value of our technology is that it's just like what you have at home, only better.
Okay,
So
but it's in. Hold on. I was house sitting a few days ago with my wife,
mhm,
and we were in a house of an Apple employee. And so, of course, he had
okay,
Siri. He had Siri everywhere. But in our house, we either have Alexa or we have Google. So Siri
yeah,
was making noise, playing music or something like that. And then my wife kept yelling at it, "Okay, Google, turn off. Okay, Google, shut up. Okay, Google." And of course, Siri wasn't
yeah,
listening. So how do you deal with
yeah,
that problem?
absolutely. Yeah, so today they are unique ecosystems. My personal hope is over time these ecosystems combine and collaborate so that whatever you address your voice assistant, all of them will be at your service. But today they are unique ecosystems from Apple, Google, Amazon. You may not be aware, but in China there's an Alibaba solution. There's a Baidu solution. There's a Tencent solution. So there are various competitive solutions today. My hope, we'll see if it happens, is that they all cooperate so that when you address your device, whether you're at home or in a hotel, they will serve you to the best of their collective ability.
Okay, but for now, it's up to to the hotel guest to sit there and say, "Okay, I'm at the Four Seasons," and I look at that and I somehow know it's Siri, and that's not, because a lot of people, especially maybe the older generation, might look at these,
Mhm.
little things that look like speakers and have no idea. I guess there must be a label next to it, maybe says, "This is Siri" or "Call me Siri." Do you do that with
Yeah.
your
Yes,
place?
we do. We do provide some instructions for the guests, and upon check-in, the guest is informed. I mean, actually, it's been amazing. We first started working in this space 3 years ago. 3 years ago, the Amazon Echo was about 1 year old, and particularly when we would put the Amazon Echo Dot in the room, people thought it was a paperweight or a hockey puck. They
Right.
really didn't know what it was. Now we're 4 years into this voice assistant revolution, and guests are more comfortable. I believe now we're up to about maybe 60 million Amazon Echo devices out there in the market. And Google is fast catching up, and Apple is also out there promoting their products. So guests are becoming more and more familiar. But anytime you put a new technology in a hotel room, guest education is important. So we find easy, simple, fun ways to educate the guests. So when you first walk into the room, you're going to be welcomed by the device. And the device is typically going to speak in the voice of the general manager of the hotel. And the general
Wow.
manager's voice is going to tell you about, the solution and how you can use it to make your stay more comfortable.
But I imagine the general manager's voice, oh, maybe it's a pre-recorded kind of canned thing that it always says when they first enter the room. Is that correct?
That's right. So, so we have two different types of interactions. We have live and we have recorded. So you can connect to a live person hands-free just by asking, just by saying something like, Alexa, call the general manager or call the front desk. We can connect the guest live. But most guests actually don't want to speak to a live person. They want instant results. Today we have this on-demand economy. People want what they want when they want it. We have pre-recorded responses to the most popular questions that a guest may ask. What's the Wi-Fi code? They don't really need to speak to a person to get that answer. What time is breakfast? Can I get towels brought to my room? Those kinds of things. They're just utility. The guest wants an immediate response. They don't want to wait on hold. And by handling it in this way, we're also freeing up the staff to handle the higher value, more complex requests that hotel guests make.
And is there a way for the hotel in the back end to insert their pre-recorded answers so that, for example, when they say, hey, what's the Wi-Fi code, they type that in and that Alexa or whoever knows that?
Yeah, that's it exactly. Yeah. So Volara's conversation management software has a content management system. So the hotel can either type in, they can record with a human voice, like the general manager's voice, or we can pull on a content management system that they may have for other types of content that they are providing to guests. So there are different ways to do it, but it's always curated by the hotel.
Okay, so it's kind of like Alexa skill, for example, that you're providing a skill for Alexa, for example.
Kind of like that, except it's a little bit broader because it's really flexible and it's fully integrated. So in real time, say a hotel is hosting a wedding, and the bride and groom arrive for the wedding before their guests. The bride and groom can simply record a welcome greeting to their guests. We upload that, we set it for those particular guest rooms, and boom, every time a guest of that wedding walks into their room, they're going to receive a welcome from the bride and groom. So it's super flexible and can be updated in real time. The second sort of significant benefit is that it's fully integrated into the existing technologies of the hotel. So if I ask for towels, that's not going to just go off into the ether. That's going to open up a ticket in the work order management system of the hotel. That request is routed directly to the handheld device of the housekeeper on my floor, and I get a knock on the door within seconds of that request from a housekeeper providing towels. So the speed of service is significantly improved because of those integrations.
I imagine this has to do a lot with the APIs of both the hotel management software on the hotel's end, as well as the APIs of Google or Alexa or Siri.
Yeah, so Volara actually sits in the middle of that, right? So we're controlling the conversations by calling APIs provided by Google and Apple and Amazon and others. And then on the back end, we are calling the APIs of the hotel existing hotel technologies. Today we have about 27 hotel technology integrations, ranging from IPTV systems, room control systems, work order management systems, property management systems, and even the valet. All of which essentially put the services and the technologies and the staff of the hotel at the tip of the guest home.
Okay. Now, David, number one thing that probably a lot of people are thinking when they're listening to this is like, oh my God, what if I'm having sex with with a woman I'm having an affair with?
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, these little Alexa devices are picking up every little thing. So I imagine that maybe many guests come there and they try to unplug the thing actually from the wall.
Yeah. So guest privacy is really central to everything we do. So a few things I'd like to highlight. Number one is the devices are only listening for whatever that wake word is, whether it's Alexa, Hey Google, Siri. The devices are recording over themselves every few seconds as they listen for that wake word. Then say, once that wake word is spoken, the recording is sent to the major platform, Amazon, Apple, Google, to be processed and turned into code that's sent back to us. But what's really critical to understand is that recording is not connected to a guest profile in any way. Volara's software sits in between any information about the guest and the recording and creates a wall so that the two are never connected. So we'll know what room number this is coming from, but we won't know the guest name or any information about the guest. That's actually an additional level of privacy protection that you don't have at home. When you set up one of these devices at home, you're putting in your address, your phone number, your name, right? So that Amazon can deliver you packages or whatever it might be. In the hotel, these are all on a hotel account. They're not connected to your personal account at all. And the major platforms that are processing your recording never have access to any of your personally identifiable information.
Okay, but let's say you are doing something criminal, like the famous case might be, I think about 10 years ago or so, O.J. Simpson went into a hotel, I think it was in Las Vegas, and he basically effectively kidnapped somebody, legally kidnapped him, and then, brandished weapons. There was a whole story, you probably know about it. And I'm wondering if the US government or somebody could subpoena the recordings or anything that was said in that hotel room while OJ and his posse were trying to recover OJ's memorabilia.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a whole criminal case. It sent OJ to jail, but their case could have been made much more stronger, supposedly, or maybe their defense could have been better if they had the evidence of the voices being said during that whole event. You follow what I'm saying? So my question is there a legal way for the government to say, okay, we know that we've disconnected the room and the name of the person in the room and the identity of the person, but can we match them under some sort of criminal case and pull those two together?
Yeah. So first thing I would say is I highly recommend that your listeners don't be committing crimes in hotel rooms for many reasons. This is not the primary reason not to commit a crime in a hotel room. But the government can certainly issue a subpoena for information, and I can't really speak to how any of these major platforms will respond to those types of requests. That's up to them and their lawyers. I do know that in order to connect a guest profile and their personally identifiable information to a recording, it would require data provided by the hotel, by Volara, and by the natural language processing platform. So this is not something that could just be flippantly put together. It would require all three parties to be involved, and likely a subpoena from the government.
Right. Okay. So the point is that technologically it's possible to do this, but it's a real pain in the butt, and you'll require coordination from three different companies, all of three who are probably not really too enthusiastic of doing it and would only do it if their arm is being twisted for some sort of criminal case.
I would say that's a fair assessment. Yeah.
Okay, good. Now tell me about where the adoption rate of Volara is. Like, if somebody says, this sounds so cool, I want to go experience this at a hotel, are you mostly overseas or in the United States? I imagine it's mostly mostly a luxury market at this point.
Yeah, so it's actually been amazing that the adoption has been across various segments of the hotel market. So today we're working with about 100 hotel groups, predominantly in the U.S., although we just launched our first property in Mexico, and we're about to launch our first luxury product in the Dominican Republic, and one in Europe as well. But You'll find us really across the country. We have a significant number of Marriott properties deployed today, Viceroy, Kimpton. We have the Malia brand as well. So you'll see us in luxury properties as well as, I failed to mention, Best Western properties as well. So you'll find us in some lodging only properties where the hotels want to serve their guests more efficiently, and this technology allows them to do that.
Got it. So yeah, Best Western isn't really the luxury brand. It's pretty much, so if you've already penetrated them, that's a good sign.
Yeah, I'd recommend your listeners, if they're heading to Chicago, check out the Best Western Hawthorne Terrace. Beautiful Best Western property, not far from Wrigley Field, and it's fully voice enabled.
So where are you going with this, David? What should we expect to see, let's say, in 2020?
So I think by 2020, the hardware itself starts to fade into the background, and guests can simply speak, whether in their guest room or somewhere else in a hotel, and get what they want when they want it. Really, what we see as the true definition of luxury is being able to engage with the hotel in a seamless, frictionless way without even really knowing that it's technology that is enabling your request to be served. And that's pretty exciting.
So basically the idea is that I'm like, God, I'm kind of hungry right now. Hey, can I get some chicken? And then all of a sudden Alexa would do whatever. I don't have to say, hey, Alexa, or hey, Siri. I just say, speak to God, basically. Send out a prayer.
I think you're on the right track. I mean, the idea is that, today hotels have struggled to provide a higher level of technology and service than guests have in their own homes, right? People in their homes now have, on everything on demand from their mobile device. But hotels are uniquely positioned to provide something more because they have staff on site ready to serve you. Now, the challenge has always been, well, how do we connect the guest to that staff? And how do we, ensure that the level of service is really what the guest expects? This technology is enabling that, and it's only getting better.
What do you use, David, at your house for your voice assistant?
Yeah, so I've got them all, to be honest. And
okay.
It's funny. I gave a talk just recently at Focusrite where I noted that my kids, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, are both using multiple voice assistants. I like to say that the true promise of voice assistants in travel is to provide contextually relevant, totally awesome conversational experiences. For you or me, that might be, getting that fried chicken in my hotel room instantaneously. For my kids today, it's asking Alexa to play Baby Shark, or what did the fox say, and they laugh and play. They're 2 and 4. They're already having these voice-based experiences, and they're going to expect them as they consume travel.
Yeah, I imagine your generation of these children at 4 years old, they're going to have a view that's totally different, just like millennials grew up with the internet and they didn't imagine a world before the internet.
Yeah, I mean, and if you think about it, my kids aren't, they're not tapping on the iPad yet. They're not typing on a computer. They don't, they're just learning to spell, but they can already engage with these computers just by speaking. So,
wow.
They're getting multiple extra years of computing power that, kids up till now haven't had an opportunity to engage with.
So somebody who's listening in on our conversation right now, and they have not bought a smart speaker yet, mm-hmm. What would you recommend of the 3 big ones?
Yeah, so, I think they're all providing a really amazing solution today. I mean, if you think about it, 4 years ago, talking to a computer was, something that, you have to have special software, you have to set it up, it didn't work right. Now, all these major platforms are providing natural language processing that works with an extremely high level of accuracy. Now, everyone will have their own opinions and preconceived notions about the different ecosystems. But I honestly, can say, at least here in the United States, you can't go wrong with Apple, Google, or Amazon.
Okay, but I know each one of them has probably their strengths and weaknesses. I'm
Mm-hmm.
familiar a little bit with Alexa. The only one I don't really know too well. I know it a little bit because, like I said, I sometimes stay at this house that has Siri. But so I kind of know all three. But I'm just trying to see, like, perhaps is there one that you think is good for this type of person? And if you're this type of person, you'd rather have this. I mean, obviously, if you're an Apple person, it's a
Sure.
no-brainer. You got to go with Siri. But I guess if you're agnostic, or
Yeah.
or if you're part of the Android world, non-Apple world, then you have two choices or three choices, really. I mean, even if you're agnostic, you can still pick Siri.
Sure. Yeah. So I do think that as these platforms mature and grow, you will see actually more differentiation. They will become not in the actual natural language processing. I actually think that's going to become more commoditized, but in their distinct expertise and personalities. So music is something that Apple does really well. Shopping is something that Amazon does really well. Search is something that Google does really well. And you'll start to see those core competencies, I think, come out even more strongly in these major platforms.
Okay, that's a fair assumption. Now, what percentage, like if you broke out the pie between those three platforms in the United States,
Yeah.
who the hotel, it's not you who makes the decision, or maybe they ask for your recommendation, which one should we use? But I'm sure that happens too. So let's say I'm the Four Seasons Hotel, and I say, okay, David, you guys know everything about this stuff. Which one should I use? What's
Mhm.
your answer when they
Yeah.
ask for your recommendation for the hotel?
So I do like to defer to the hotel because I do think there's value in all of them, and for what the hotel wants to achieve the hotel's business objectives, they're all actually the same. They're all going to process natural language. They're all going to integrate with Volara software, which will integrate with the existing hotel technologies, and they'll all serve the guests. Really, the differentiator is what are your guests most comfortable with, and to some degree that depends on the area of the country or the world that you're in. So you could have the best technology in the world, but if your guests aren't comfortable using it and don't use it, it's not providing a lot of value. So I like to turn the question back on the hotel and say, well, what are your guests most comfortable with? Are you in an area that is attracting lots of business travelers who maybe are more familiar with Google? Are you in an area with lots of people who want to be connected to their Amazon ecosystem, be able to shop and have more leisure time with their devices? Then I'd recommend Amazon. But really, it's up to the hotel. I think the platforms are close enough now, and they all work just as well at achieving the hotel business objectives that we're truly agnostic.
Okay, so for example, Google has Google Express and Amazon has Amazon Prime now. If I'm sitting far away from home and I say use Amazon Prime now or Google Express, and I want to have, let's say, something delivered to my hotel room, can I say, hey, Google, can you go ahead and buy me some whatever, a computer mouse, for example?
So that's not available yet today. Remember, I mentioned earlier that it's not going to be connected to your personal account,
Oh, right.
which means that today, anything that requires payment or personal authentication is going to be disabled. Now that's coming soon, though, as we figure out and work through those privacy issues. And then yes, you'll be able to do that on all of the major platforms.
You could do maybe like a guest waiver for somebody who at the beginning and just say, hey, are you willing to identify yourself. That's one potential solution, because some people don't give a shit.
Yes, I think a waiver is more of just a prophylactic solution that we put in place regardless. We still, and the hotel still, whether someone signs a waiver or not, want to ensure that we're protecting their personal information. So that means that we have to have ways, for example, to wipe the devices at checkout. You certainly don't want to order something and then have someone else come into the hotel room the next day and order something on your account. So those things are, some are developed, some are being developed, but until we have rock solid privacy protections, we're not on the ordering piece. We're not going to open up payment and personal authentication, but it is coming soon. We're pretty close.
Do you know, David, who's got the market share of those three things in not just in Volara? Volara, I'll ask that as a separate question. The market share in Volara, but what about? Let's start with the United States. Who's winning the smart speaker war today?
Yeah, so I don't know the exact numbers. I do know that Amazon got a healthy lead. It was out in front early. And that Google has made some great strides catching up, and I think Apple is making some efforts as well, but having a little bit less traction. So today certainly there's in the United States more, and I wish I had the exact numbers for you, but more are using the Alexa platform than the Google platform for voice commuting. That's on these smart speakers. On the flip side, Google through their Android platform are on more smartphones, so that users can engage by voice through their smartphones, and then obviously Apple has the iPhone and Siri enabled on it. So I don't have the exact numbers for you, but there are different ways to engage by voice through one's personal phone, through a computer, and obviously through these smart speakers. What I like about the smart speakers is the far field microphones, so that you can be on the other side of the room and just say what you want and get what you want. You don't have to tap anything or go to a specific app or anything like that.
Okay, yeah, that is good. And within Volara, what is who's winning the war there between the three? I know you're agnostic, you support whatever platform the hotel wants, but just give us a little bit of visibility of who's doing the best so far with your technology.
Yeah, so the first thing to note is Volara's software is enabling about 98% of hotels with voice-based assistants today. So Volara's, if you're encountering one of these devices in a hotel room, it's highly likely that Volara's software is in the background.
Will they know that? Will they know that? It won't say.
No.
Okay, got it.
Most of the time, the guests won't know, but they'll just know that they get what they want when they want it. Our software is sort of an intermediate product in the back. Now, in terms of market share today, the great majority are using the Alexa platform and the Amazon Echo or Echo Dot, in large part because Amazon was the first to the market. We've been deploying these in hotels now for about 3 years. And Amazon's also built some unique technology that allows us to manage the devices in ways that others haven't. Now, the other platforms are catching up quickly. And again, our vision is that every hotel brand is going to want to have a consistent voice-based experience across their entire brand for their guests. But they might want to let their hotel owners, the franchise owners in different markets, select the hardware and natural language processing that's most suitable for their particular hotel. So the experience will be the same, but the platform on which it's built might be slightly different.
Got it. Excellent. Well, David, I appreciate your time giving us some insight into Volara, and
Absolutely.
so that people who are going to be out there picking hotels, now you'll know when you make a prayer to God, it's going to be answered.